Hey, this is Max. Welcome back to another CSR2 video. So I'm here at race 53 of the Green Hell, and I'm here looking at these two cars. Now, why am I starting the video here? Because up to this point, the game has been relatively easy about the races. This particular challenge here would be easy as well because, quite frankly, the Huracan being maxed, even with the Mercedes being just one stage 6, shouldn't be much of an issue for me to get through. So I've told everybody all the time in the past that you get to the hurdle races near the end. The way the game designers always do these events is they want to kind of lead you on with the carrot of easiness until you get near the very end when you have done a lot of racing, the prize is within sight, and you're kind of hooked. Then they start throwing really difficult races at you, and it's usually a pretty substantial jump from, a simple race all the way to extreme. And I anticipate no different for all these events. These European events, the American road trip events, they've done this with all these big events to kind of hook you in, get you pretty far into the event, and then bam, they stop you dead in your tracks. Okay? That is what's going to probably happen in the next few races. This is why I only started recording around this race, because there's no point to record earlier. It's just very easy. So here is a challenging race for the BMW. Now, up to this point, I've only had this BMW set to stage 5, and I'm at race 50 something without an issue. But we're at the point where I'm anticipating, there it is. I'm anticipating tougher races at this point, and here we go. We just hit 8.5, and race 55 is now extreme. Extreme means that it should be much faster than my 8.5 in order for the extreme to kick in, to really qualify. So let's see what the opponent runs. Okay, now I may not be driving this BMW that well either, but in any case, depending on how much faster he is, it's irrelevant that I may be shifting it slightly wrong. Even if I get a little more under dyno, I don't think it'll make that much of a difference. So we're talking 3/10 difference here, straight up. So you literally have to now drop 3/10 in time to beat that guy. And that is what I call a hurdle race. Because they basically said, okay, up to this point, stage 5 only, no problem, easy, easy, easy. Bam, now you got to get a bunch of stage 6s. So let's find the BMW first and go from there. All right, here we have the BMW. Let's take a look at it. Right? So up to this point, I have it as stage 5 only. And therefore, performance is 8.5. So it's not bad. It's a pretty fast car at stage 5 only. Now we have to look at all these stage 6s and figure out which one might be strong enough to get us to that 8.2. So we can start off trying engine. Turbo and intake I'm going to skip simply because almost always they're just not going to do that much. But let's see what engine does first to give you a better idea of how many stage 6s you might be needing in order to make it through. So that only dropped us to 8.489 from an 8.56. Obviously not going to cut it. So engine's definitely not enough. Let's take a look at some of the stronger ones. Usually trans body tire are the strong ones, so you watch the changes. That's a decent amount of evo gain. The next question is, does it tune better? And then finally, what does it run? So with the performance point and evo gain, that should be a decent gain. 8.423 is not that great. A little better than engine, but actually isn't as much as we thought. Right? You would expect more. All right, let's go to the next one, which generally a strong one would be body. And let's see what body does for us. Let's see, go to body. Here we go. Oh, that's a nice gain. That's definitely going to be better than transmission. And way better than engine, obviously. But let's see if it gets, excuse me. Let's see if it gets us to 8.2s. I doubt it. 8.377. Better, but not great. So next one to try out would be nitrous and then also tire, because those are almost always the ones that round out all the top fives. Nitrous looking like decent, but probably also not going to do better than body. But nitrous, depending on whether the increased duration have any real effect. Nope. So you really want to keep it at the low duration because it drops as soon as you move it out of there. So 4.0 is the duration. Let's go look at the time, 8.427. This is almost like transmission. So nitrous about the same. Body's a little bit better. Engine's definitely a little bit worse. That doesn't bode well for getting through this with one stage 6, obviously. At this point, I think we'll check out tire, and that would be it. Oh, wow. Tire may end up being stronger than I thought. I didn't expect tire to do that much. Let's take a look. Oh, wow. Yeah, tire might actually be the strongest out of these. Now, you notice I'm not retuning. That's because I find the highest evo tend to be at 2.0 final drive. Unless I'm tuning it wrong, and the higher final drive makes more sense, I'm just going to stick to it. And it makes it easily, consistently able to see, more consistently able to see the effects of the stage 6s as well. So I'm keeping the same tune. The computer's not recommending I retune either, so that's it. So I put 2 stage 6s in, and boom, we're at 8.148. 8.148, I think the opponent was 8.26, so that should be good enough. Let's go ahead and go run that opponent down and see what the next issue is going to be for us. Yep, turn to hard from extreme, which means now I have a chance to get through this. So the escalation race escalated quite a bit. Okay, 310s is a decent amount. 2 stage 6 jump, basically, from stage 5 only. You know, is that super hard? No. You know, 2 stage 6, if I were arguing on behalf of the developers, I'd be like, oh, well, that's pretty, we're actually being pretty generous. But if you think about it, 2 stage 6s plus the fusions, and this car was built from the ground up. So no, it's not easy. That's definitely not easy. 8.089, 9.223. Not easy at all, but at least I got through it. So let's move on and see when the next hurdle race comes up. Okay, so the STO right now also on stage 5 only. I do this on purpose for this kind of event, just to kind of feel for where we end up at. Now, what are the chances they'll let me actually make it through with just 2 stage 5? I mean, all stage 5, no stage 6? I don't think it's going to be very good. Okay, let's see. 57, still hard, so that's good. That one's doable. Now, we're only 3-4 races away now from 60, right? How much harder can they make it in 3 races? I mean, really? Wow. Let's see. Those might be famous last words. Okay, so again, there it is. Extreme. Okay, so let's see how extreme. How much of a drop are we talking about with this car now? Last one was a 3/10 drop, right? This is a 9.6 car at stage 5 only, and that opponent only ran a 9.9. Then it jumped to extreme on the next race. What does this opponent run? That's where it gets obnoxious, is if this guy runs like a second faster, then naturally the developers designed it in a way where they basically kind of lead you with a carrot saying, hey, you can make this, and then right near the very end, bam, no, now you got to build the car all the way. 9/10 drop, a second drop basically. This is exactly what I'm talking about. It went from 9.9 opponent to a 9.0 opponent. Basically saying, yeah, you thought you were going to make it, but ha, no. Now you're going to spend some resources or keys or whatever, because we're not letting you through. This is particularly bad for players who basically pull these cars and are building them as you go to try to finish the event. you know, they kind of kept your hopes up the whole way, and then race 58, hammer down. Nope, now you're done. So I'm gonna find my STO. Hold on a second. I think it's here somewhere. Oh, there's the purple star one. Where's my gold star one? Other way? Did I miss it? It has to be here. Hold on. Hold on. Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay. All right. So again, stage 5 only 9.6 car, right? Now I got to beat a 9.0. Now, unlike the tier 3 cars, each stage 6 will have more effect. Generally, 3/4 tenths per stage 6 is pretty common for tier 5s, and some tier 5s will actually do half a second on one stage 6. So let's see which ones. I mean, I'm looking at the strong ones up front because I'm going to skip the weak ones and just jump right to the strong ones. Slight retune if it gives a little sum up. All right, so about 53. We'll just see what it says. 9.193 isn't going to be enough. I mean, I know this car does beat Dyno a little bit, but I think a 10s plus is kind of pushing it for me because I haven't really checked its shift patterns or anything. So I'm not gonna risk it. Let's go back and get more parts. Now the Huracan STO is the last lock-in. Is also the one for many players that didn't get it before from another event. This will be your gold key pole car, and therefore this might not be your strongest car. Okay. Lamborghini Fusions are at least somewhat plentiful, but nonetheless, we're going to try to minimize the stage 6s on the STO and then focus on maybe more stage 6s on the other cars when we get to the relays, and if that turns out to be difficult. So, all right. So far, still looking at 9.1. Let me tweak it again. So let's see, we can, tire probably isn't going to cut it. Nah, that's not going to do it. That's too low. So trans by itself and body by itself isn't going to be sufficient. So that means body and something else, trans and something else is the minimum that's going to be required to get this done. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm not going to use the two strongest stage 6. I'm going to put trans with engine first. See if that'll cut it. If it'll cut it, we'll try it with just those two, because it's not always possible to get the two strongest stage 6s. But in this case, you're going to need one of them at least, unless you want to run a lot more stage 6s. Okay, 8.888, that's good enough to run with. So that'll get us through race 58, and then you only have 2 relays to get to the end. But again, because this normally the difficulty challenges are either a sprint or a speed trap, I was expecting those being the hurdle races, but it doesn't look like that's the case here. In this case, for this event, it seems to be the straight up racing against another opponent, but they did a big time drop to kind of use that to torture you in a way. Okay, so relays in the past has always been on the easier side, but who knows? Let's take a look. Because we only have 2 races left. I mean, either they're going to let me get through with these half-built cars, or they're going to say, no, difficulty goes up and you have to get much stronger cars. Oh, back to extreme. Oh, okay, here's why. I only have 1 stage 6 on the Mercedes, okay? So it's not that strong, and it's without more upgrades on the Mercedes, it's extreme because obviously the STO is also not fully upgraded. So you're going to need more. Let's first see how far off we are. This is the start. Then we can figure out what upgrades we may need in order to get through. Here we go. I think this Mercedes is like a 9.2 dyno. Should still run the time. Wow. That opponent's way ahead. So unless the other guy's a lot slower, I'm screwed. Whoop. This one is 710. Yeah, this car is pretty built too. I don't think this one's that slow either, and certainly the STO isn't that built. So is my 8.888 going to cut it? Oh boy, it doesn't look like it. Wow. That is a big gap. Well, there it is. Hurdle race right before the end. A major one. Basically, this one, you're talking, I ran 18, the opponent ran 17.2. So I need to be able to run 17.2 from 18. That's basically, wow, a 0.8 second drop. That would require each of these cars, if I were to do both cars, each of these cars would have to drop at least 0.4 in order to pull that off. Now, I'm not going to do that with the STO. Let's keep the STO and focus on the Black Series and see how much upgrade I have to do on the Black Series to get this done. So STO, we're going to leave it alone. And we're going to move right over to the Black Series and try to upgrade that car. So I would have to go from a 9.2 to about an 8.4 in order for this Black Series to be good enough for what we're hoping to do. Okay, right now I only have body. I'm going to go ahead and see body is 9.2. Let's add transmission, strong at S6. Let's see where it brings us to. That doesn't look too promising because it barely moved. All right, let's take a look at what the dyno shows. And it is 8.881. Now, that's a decent drop, but unfortunately, we were looking at almost 0.8 of a second drop, and that's only 0.4. So we're only halfway there. Even with some tuning here, it doesn't look like it's going to do much more. Let's see. Yeah, that's about it. So I can eke out just a hair more, 8.868. But it doesn't look like I can get any more out of it. So now we're up to 2 strong stage 6s, which did drop 0.4, but it doesn't even put us close to where we need to be. That means, unfortunately, we have to now go back and add a 3rd stage 6, and fingers crossed that this one will get us where we need to be. Now, again, I'm skipping the weak ones. I'm going straight for the strongest ones. And that doesn't bode well for difficulty increase here, because look, I can understand I need add a stage 6 to make it past a particular challenge, but I've now added 2 stage 6s, and we're going in again to dyno, and it is still not enough. So I'm looking at jumping from 1 to 3. Now we're going to go to 4 stage 6s for the Mercedes. Yes, I am not upgrading the STO stage 6s. There are only 2 installed on that car, but hey, you got to pay the price somewhere. So if it's not the STO getting more upgrades, then the Mercedes has to get a lot. But nonetheless, regardless of that fact, this is a big jump. Okay, 8.3, I should be good enough. It's still going to be close. So somebody asked me before, what would you need stage 6-wise to make this event? Well, it looks like for the BMW, you're going to need 2. Okay, my Huracan's fully maxed. And now the real challenges are these 2 cars. Now, if you have the Mercedes fully maxed from prior events, you're good to go. The STO needs 2 stage 6s and strong ones and full fusion to make it past race 57. But 58, you basically need a very strong Mercedes and that 2 stage 6 STO running like about 8 points. I forgot what I ran. I think it's 8 point something to try to make this. Now, I'm still running a little behind on the first race here, but I think I'm okay for the second one. Oh, the STO is 8.8. I just remember it's 8.8. So the STO 8.8, the Mercedes at 8.3. Combined time will barely hack it for this race because we're trying to hit 17.2 or better. Now, mind you, I may not be shifting these cars right, so there might be another 10th or 2 in there somewhere. So I may be making it look more difficult than it needs to be. Nonetheless, a 17.208, it looks like I just ran. So 8.3 on that one, okay, which still was too slow. 8.8 on the other one, 17.208, barely made it. So race 59, they really made it hard. And that, again, is something I have to complain about because I understand letting players get through events, but you're also kind of getting our hopes up. Okay, designing the event like this where you're getting the players' hope up, kind of leading them along all the way to the very end, and then all of a sudden put a huge hurdle in front of them and say, ah, sorry, you're screwed. That's just not right. And if this is how this entire invitational is going to be, I'm pretty much feeling like I'm being invited to come in and, suffer some real aggravation with this event. The prize car is always going to be the prize car. Maybe the Batista will turn out to be good, maybe not. But just being the absolute first leg here, we're already seeing how the pattern may be for these events, which is easy enough to get into, but forget about getting through easily. Okay, again, my BMW here, 2 stage 6s. 11.6 is a pretty decent half mile for a T3. So I got through that. Huracan fully maxed, so this should be a decent race here, although who knows, that's a Formula 1 car. I mean, that's an Indy car, so that might be pretty fast. Let's see. Yeah, that's really quick. Okay. So, Indy car just destroyed me. 7.0 half mile. This car is going to be easier. You see why? It's 344 Evo. So they made that one slow. So now it's my chance to catch up with the Mercedes, and therefore, if the Mercedes is able to beat that car by a bit of a margin, my last race should be fine. So again, final race, based on race 59's upgrades, I should be okay, although, that we really have to be able to catch this Ford here. Yep, there it is. He stopped. So pretty much he's not getting any faster, and I made it through. So that one is not too bad. But again, it gets hard on a few races. The BMW jumped from stage 5 only to 2 stage 6s for 1 race difference. Then the Huracan STO, same thing. Stage 5 only, all of a sudden to 2 stage 6s to make it through. And these are all full fusion cars. But the real kicker is that a relay race where I had to add 3 stage 6s to what was otherwise a 1 stage 6 Mercedes, which made it all the way through up to that point. So don't expect to be handed these events. At the very end, they're going to throw something at you where it's really going to kind of put a block, a huge hurdle in getting that prize car. So ultimately, I'm not too happy overall with the way the progression went. I don't mind difficulty increasing. I understand why they have to do it. But this is almost like a little bit of a, I guess bait and switch might be too harsh, but it is kind of baiting you along to run the event just to get close to the prize car where you're going to be invested into wanting to get this car, and then kind of screwing you with a real difficult challenge, which I'm not keen on. Well, in any case, that is the final runs to win this Audi R8 Green Hell. I guess I'll build this car. It looks better than the Decennium, in my opinion. And that's it. That's the end of that event. If you like this video, leave a like. Feel free to comment about anything I commented about. And if you like my channel, subscribe, hit the bell, and you get notifications when I put up videos like this. And as always, thank you for watching my videos. I'll catch you next time.